You don't see them on the street, but they quietly shape the city of Chicago in ways you wouldn't believe. This is a shocking revelation of the real bosses of Chicago. They are women whose wealth runs into billions and whose decisions affect millions of lives, including yours. It would be a mistake not knowing who they are. But who are these women? And how did they build such enormous fortunes? From corporate boardrooms to global empires, we come to the richest and most powerful women who own Chicago, uncovering the real forces behind their wealth. 10. Michelle Obama. Influence that feels bigger than money. First, we begin with someone's influence so powerful that it could open doors, shape conversations, and move millions of people without needing billions in the bank. Now, the kind of power Michelle Obama represents is so shocking and amazing at the same time. She may not be a billionaire, but with a combined net worth of around $70 million, multi-million-dollar estates, and a lifestyle shaped by luxury fashion and elite global access, she operates at a level of wealth and influence that places her among the most powerful women connected to Chicago. So let's piece the puzzle of her story together. Michelle Obama grew up on the south side of Chicago in a modest household, far from the luxury she enjoys today. Despite being the daughter of a maid and a barber, her early life was built on discipline and education, which carried her to Princeton University and Harvard Law School. From there, she built a career in law and public service before stepping into a role that would change everything. In 2009, she became the first African-American First Lady of the United States, and from that moment, her influence became global. She launched initiatives focused on health, education, and women's empowerment, reaching millions of people worldwide and attaining a level of success that few can match. Her lifestyle alone tells a clear story of financial elevation. She has embraced a high-fashion identity that reflects both status and confidence, wearing standout designer pieces like 4,000 thigh-high gold Balenciaga boots and regularly appearing in brands such as Versace, Bottega Veneta, Jason Wu, Naeem Khan, and Carolina Herrera. These are not just fashion choices. They are signals of entry into a world where luxury is standard. Her real estate portfolio reinforces that level of wealth. She and Barack Obama own an $8.1 million home in Washington, D.C., located in one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in the country, along with an $11.75 million estate in Martha's Vineyard, a location known for attracting high-net-worth individuals, political elites, and global figures. These are not just homes. They are long-term assets positioned in prime locations that continue to appreciate in value. Now, beyond real estate, her financial success has also expanded through writing and media. Her memoir, Becoming, became one of the best-selling books in history, generating tens of millions in revenue and leading to additional publishing deals, speaking engagements, and media partnerships that continue to grow her wealth. But what truly sets her apart is how her influence translates into opportunity. When Michelle Obama speaks, global audiences listen. When she partners with organizations, visibility increases instantly. That level of influence carries financial weight that goes far beyond traditional income. She has been consistently ranked among the most admired women in the world, and her recognition spans far beyond politics into culture, leadership, and global influence. She started from a modest background on the south side of Chicago, far removed from the level of wealth she now commands, and built her way into elite global circles through education, discipline, and strategic positioning. So why is she on this list? Because in a city like Chicago, ownership is not only about money. Sometimes it is about influence, raw power, reach, and the ability to shape the future. And Michelle Obama does that at a level few can match. She is a symbol of the kind of power that rakes in millions with ease. But if you think that is impressive, the next woman on our list will surprise you even more. Now we move to the billionaire level of wealth. 9. Penny Pritzker, billionaire power with deep roots. Now we step into a completely different level of wealth. Penny Pritzker is not just a billionaire worth nearly $4 billion. She is part of a family empire behind the Hyatt Hotel fortune worth hundreds of billions of dollars. But Penny Pritzker did not rely on family wealth alone. She built her own path through high-value real estate, investment firms, and financial networks that stretch far beyond Chicago. This is the kind of wealth that is layered, structured, and constantly expanding. Her lifestyle reflects that level of financial power in very visible ways. She owns high-end properties, including a $7.95 million Georgian-style home in Washington, D.C., located in one of the most prestigious areas near the National Zoo. This residence is known for its refined design, featuring high ceilings, detailed millwork, and a level of architectural finish that places it firmly in the category of elite real estate. In Chicago, her presence is just as strong. She owns property in the Lincoln Park neighborhood, one of the most expensive and sought-after areas in the city. Through her firm, PSP Partners, she is also connected to the purchase of a 5,800-square-foot mansion valued at about $6.5 million. A modern luxury home built with high-end finishes and designed for comfort, privacy, and long-term value. But her wealth goes far beyond real estate. Through PSP Partners and Pritzker Realty Group, she has managed and invested in large-scale real estate ventures, positioning herself at the center of deals that move millions and sometimes billions. She is also a co-founder of Artemis Real Estate Partners, further expanding her reach into institutional real estate investment. But that is not all. Her influence also extends into business and government. As a former U.S. Secretary of Commerce, she operated at the intersection of policy and finance, a position that gives her a deeper level of control and insight into how wealth and systems interact. She has been recognized by Forbes as one of the world's most powerful women and remains one of the most influential billionaires connected to Chicago. Penny Pritzker is rich because she combines inherited wealth with strategic investments and control over high-value assets that continue to grow. But if generational wealth and billion-dollar investments are impressive, the next woman shows what happens when power works in a completely different way. 8. Oprah Winfrey, turning influence into a multi-billion-dollar empire. Let's move to a woman whose name alone carries financial weight across industries, because Oprah Winfrey is not just wealthy, she is a global force whose net worth exceeds $3 billion. That number is already extraordinary, but what makes it even more powerful is the path she took to get there, because she did not start with wealth, connections, or privilege. She was born into poverty, raised by a mother who worked as a maid and a father who was a barber, in an environment where financial success was far from guaranteed. Yet she built everything she has through a combination of talent, strategy, and a deep understanding of how influence can be turned into ownership. Her breakthrough came in Chicago, where she transformed a struggling talk show into the highest-rated program in its time slot, eventually turning it into The Oprah Winfrey Show, which ran for 25 years and generated enormous revenue. What makes Oprah different from many entertainers is that she did not stop at earning money from her platform. She built control by founding her own production company, Harpo Productions, and her own cable network, The Oprah Winfrey Network. Through Oprah Winfrey Network, she expanded her influence into a full-scale media business. She also made strategic investments, including a highly successful stake in Weight Watchers that brought in hundreds of millions of dollars, showing that her wealth is built not just on fame, but on smart financial decisions. Her lifestyle reflects this level of wealth in a very visible way. Her primary residence in Montecito, California, known as the Promised Land, was purchased for about $50 million and sits on 42 acres of carefully designed luxury. This estate includes a tennis court, a private movie theater, terraced gardens, a resort-style pool, and even a 6,000-square-foot guest house. It is not just a home, it is a self-contained world built for comfort and privacy. But she did not stop there. She expanded that estate by acquiring the neighboring Sea Mare Farm for $28.8 million, adding 29 acres of equestrian facilities, orchards, grazing land, fish ponds, and open space. This turned her Montecito property into a massive luxury compound that reflects both wealth and long-term investment thinking. Her real estate empire stretches far beyond California. In Colorado, she owns property in Telluride, including nearly 60 acres of land purchased for over $10 million and a $14 million mountain home featuring ski and access, a private movie theater, and a 56-foot underground wine cellar. These are not vacation homes, they are high-value assets placed in some of the most exclusive locations in the country. In Hawaii, her wealth becomes even more expansive. She has spent decades building a land portfolio in Maui that now exceeds 1,000 acres. Starting with a $5.3 million purchase, she later invested around $40 million to expand it, and in 2023 alone, she added 870 acres more. This includes farmland, orchards, and open land, turning her holdings into one of the most significant private land portfolios in the region. Beyond real estate, she operates within a global network of influence where her recommendations can shift markets, boost sales, and shape public conversation. She has been recognized by Forbes as one of the most powerful women in the world and remains one of the most successful self-made in history. As a result, she has received numerous awards, including multiple Emmy Awards, and has been consistently recognized as one of the most powerful women in the world. So when you ask why Oprah Winfrey is so rich, the answer lies in her ability to turn influence into ownership, and ownership into an empire that continues to grow. The next woman built her fortune in a way that proves you do not need inheritance to reach extraordinary levels. 7. Diane Hendricks, the self-made billionaire who built a $20 billion fortune. Now let's talk about a woman whose wealth is so massive that it completely changes the scale of this conversation. Diane Hendricks is not just rich. She is worth over $20 billion, making Forbes rank her as the richest self-made woman in America. That number alone already separates her from almost everyone else on this list. Her fortune comes from ABC Supply, the largest wholesale distributor of roofing, siding, and construction materials in the United States. At first glance, that might not sound glamorous, but think about it for a moment. Every building needs materials. Every home, every office, every commercial structure depends on products her company supplies. That means her business is tied directly to construction across Chicago and the entire country. And that is where the real wealth comes from. ABC Supply generates billions in annual revenue, and as co-founder, Diane Hendricks owns a significant portion of that success, which is reflected in her lifestyle. We are talking about luxury homes, private aviation access, high-value real estate investments, and a financial position where she can fund large-scale projects without hesitation. She lives on a 200-acre private estate that reflects the scale of wealth she has built from the ground up. That level of wealth immediately places her in a category where money is not just earned, it is controlled, expanded, and used to reshape entire communities. Her personal residence in Afton, Wisconsin, is not just a home. It is a 10,000-square-foot luxury estate, surrounded by hundreds of acres of woodland, offering privacy, space, and long-term land value that continues to grow. But what makes her story even more powerful is how she started. She was not born into billions. She worked as a model, then moved into real estate, building homes before co-founding ABC Supply with her husband. After his passing, she continued to grow the company, expanding it into a nationwide powerhouse. That journey from building houses to controlling a company tied to national construction demand is what makes her wealth so remarkable. Forbes consistently ranks her among America's richest women, and she has held the title of the richest self-made female billionaire in the country. Diane Hendricks proves that massive wealth can be built from industries people often overlook. But if building billions from scratch is impressive, the next woman shows what happens when wealth is backed by legacy, strategy, and a powerful family name. 6. Elizabeth Uihlein, the billionaire behind a shipping empire. Elizabeth Uihlein operates in a world where scale is everything, and her company delivers that scale every single day. As the president of Uihlein, she helps run one of the largest privately held companies in the United States, a business that generates billions in annual revenue. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Uihlein supplies shipping, packaging, and industrial products to businesses across North America. That means every time a product is packed, shipped, or stored, there is a strong chance Uihlein's products are involved. This is not a flashy industry, but it is essential. And essential businesses are where real wealth is built. Elizabeth Uihlein's net worth is estimated in the billions, often placed around $7 billion alongside her husband. That level of wealth places her firmly among the richest women connected to Chicago. Her lifestyle reflects this position. We are talking about expansive estates, high-end properties, access to private travel, and investments that continue to grow over time. At this level, wealth is not just about what you own today. It is about what your assets will generate tomorrow. But here is what makes her story stand out. Uline started as a small family business focused on shipping supplies. Over time, it grew into a distribution giant with massive warehouses, thousands of employees, and a customer base that spans across industries. That growth did not happen overnight. It came from consistent expansion, smart logistics, and understanding a simple truth. Every business needs to ship something. That makes Uline almost impossible to ignore in the supply chain. Elizabeth Uline has also been recognized by Forbes among billionaires, solidifying her place among the wealthiest individuals in the country. So why is she so rich? Because she is part of a company that sits at the center of commerce. When goods move, money moves, and her company is right in the middle of that movement. But even with billions built from logistics and distribution, the next woman takes us back into a world where wealth, legacy, and influence combine in a way that few can compete with. 5. Jennifer Pritzker, billionaire legacy with a strategic edge. Now we return to the Pritzker name, but this time with a different kind of story. Jennifer Pritzker holds a net worth of over $2 billion, placing her firmly among Chicago's billionaire elite. As a member of the powerful Pritzker family, her wealth is connected to one of the most influential business dynasties in America. But her story is not just about inheritance. She built her own identity within that legacy. Jennifer Pritzker founded Tawani Enterprises and the Tawani Foundation, organizations that focus on investments, philanthropy, and cultural preservation. That means her wealth is not sitting idle. It is actively working across multiple sectors. Her assets include high-value investments, business holdings, and properties that reflect a life of significant financial power. At this level, wealth becomes a network. It spreads across industries, institutions, and opportunities. Her lifestyle includes luxury estates, access to elite social and business circles, and the ability to fund projects that align with her interests. Whether it is supporting historical preservation or investing in ventures, her financial reach allows her to operate freely in spaces that most people cannot access. What also sets her apart is her military background. She served as a lieutenant colonel, adding a layer of discipline and leadership to her business and philanthropic work. The Pritzker family itself controls a wide range of businesses, including the Hyatt hotel chain and other industrial investments. That means her wealth is connected to a system that continues to generate billions across generations. She has been recognized among billionaires globally and stands as an example of how legacy wealth can be combined with personal direction. So why is she so rich? Because she sits at the intersection of inherited power and strategic investment. But here is where things take an even more exciting turn. Because as we move closer to the top of this list, we are about to see women who are not just wealthy, but globally influential in ways that go far beyond Chicago. 4. Jenny Just, the billion-dollar strategist. Behind financial tech. Now let's step into a world where money moves at the speed of technology and fortunes are built through strategy rather than visibility. Jenny Just is one of those women who operates in that space, quietly building a financial empire that most people never see but many depend on. She is the co-founder and managing partner of Peak 6 Investments, a multi-billion-dollar financial services and technology firm. This is not just a company that sits and waits for profit. It is deeply involved in trading, fintech, and investment platforms that power modern financial systems. One of the companies connected to her firm, Apex Fintech Solutions, plays a major role in enabling stock trading platforms used by millions of everyday investors. That means when people buy or sell stocks, systems tied to her business may be working behind the scenes. Now think about that for a moment. That is influence at scale. Her net worth is estimated in the hundreds of millions and often placed around the billion-dollar range depending on valuations. But beyond the numbers, her real wealth lies in ownership of systems that generate continuous financial activity. Her lifestyle reflects this level of success. We are talking about luxury homes, private investments across industries, and access to opportunities that are not available to the general public. At this level, wealth is dynamic. It grows with every deal, every investment, and every strategic move. But what makes Jenny Just stand out is that she built this from the ground up. She did not inherit a financial empire. She created one by identifying opportunities in trading and technology, then expanding into multiple companies and investments. She has also been recognized among America's richest self-made women, highlighting both her financial success and her influence in a traditionally male-dominated industry. So why is she so rich? Because she operates at the intersection of finance and technology, two of the most powerful money-generating sectors in the world. But if building wealth through strategy is impressive, the next woman takes us back into a world where leadership transformed an entire company into a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse. Before we continue, here's a quick one. If you're enjoying the video and want access to exclusive content and member-only perks, feel free to become a member of the channel using the Join button below. Channel members get some cool benefits, and it also helps support the channel so we can keep making more videos like this. Alright, let's get back to the video. 3. Deborah Cafaro, turning millions into tens of billions. Deborah Cafaro is a woman whose name may not echo loudly outside business circles, but whose financial impact is impossible to ignore once you understand the scale of what she controls. Deborah Cafaro stepped into Ventas in 1999 at a time when the company was sitting at roughly $200 million in equity value, which in the world of large-scale corporate finance is not a position of strength, but one of uncertainty. What she did with that opportunity is what separates ordinary executives from those who quietly build enormous wealth. Under her leadership, Ventas did not simply recover. It expanded into a healthcare real estate powerhouse worth tens of billions of dollars, with its valuation crossing $30 billion at different points. That level of growth comes from understanding something very simple yet very powerful, which is that healthcare is not optional. Ventas owns and manages hundreds of properties, including senior housing communities, medical offices, and research facilities, all of which generate consistent income because people will always need care regardless of economic conditions. This is where her wealth becomes truly interesting, because it is tied to stability rather than trends. It is like owning land in the busiest part of a city that never stops growing. Every building, every lease, and every operation connected to those properties feeds into a system that continuously produces revenue. While her personal net worth is in the tens of millions, the real story is the scale of assets she oversees and influences, which places her in a position of financial power far beyond what a simple net worth figure can capture. Her lifestyle reflects that level of control, with access to premium real estate, elite business networks, and long-term financial security that keeps expanding with the company's growth. Her leadership has been recognized globally, including repeated rankings by Harvard Business Review as one of the best-performing CEOs in the world, alongside recognition from Forbes as a powerful woman in business. She did not inherit this success. She built expertise, stepped into the right industry, and multiplied value over time. So when you ask why Deborah Cafaro is so wealthy, the answer is clear. She positioned herself at the center of a system that generates billions consistently. But if multiplying billions through structure and strategy is impressive, the next woman takes that power and places it at the center of a company that millions of people indirectly rely on every single day. 2. Christine A. Leah, leading a $22 billion machine. Now we move to a woman whose influence is much easier to see once you understand the scale of what she controls. Christine Leahy is the CEO of CDW, a company that generates over $22 billion in annual revenue. That is not just a big number. That is a level of money that puts her at the top of one of the most powerful corporate structures connected to Chicago. CDW provides technology solutions to businesses, hospitals, schools, and government institutions. In simple terms, it helps organizations function in a digital world. That means her company is part of the backbone of modern life. When systems run smoothly, companies like CDW are often behind the scenes. Now, let's talk about wealth. Christine Leahy's financial position is built through a combination of executive salary, performance bonuses, and significant stock ownership. As the company grows, her wealth grows with it. This creates a lifestyle that includes high-value real estate, diversified investments, and access to financial opportunities that most people never encounter. But what truly sets her apart is how she got here. She did not walk into the CEO role overnight. She worked through legal and revenue leadership positions within the company, gaining control over both how money is made and how it is protected. That combination is powerful, and it is one of the reasons she now leads a company of this size. Her leadership has earned her recognition from major organizations, including honors from Chicago's executive circles and mentions among powerful women in business. So why is she so rich? Because she operates in a space where demand never disappears. Technology is no longer optional, and that makes her company essential. But if running a $22 billion company sounds like the peak of wealth, but even with billions, the next woman on our list demonstrates that sometimes influence alone can shape a city more deeply than money ever could. 1. Natalie Brown, the quiet wealth that moves billions. On our final spot is a woman whose name might not stop you in your tracks, but whose financial reach absolutely should. Natalie Brown operates in a world where money is not counted in thousands or even millions, but in hundreds of billions. As the CEO of Mesirow, she leads a financial firm connected to over $300 billion in assets under supervision. That alone tells you this is not ordinary wealth. This is the kind of financial environment that quietly shapes economies. Now, Natalie Brown does not present her wealth in loud or flashy ways. You will not see headlines about luxury shopping sprees or extravagant public displays. Instead, her wealth exists in a more refined form. It shows up in executive compensation, long-term equity, investment portfolios, and access to elite financial networks. This is the kind of lifestyle where wealth grows silently, like a tree whose roots run deeper than what you can see above the ground. Owned. Her influence stretches across Chicago's financial ecosystem. Firms like Mesirow advise major investors, corporations, and institutions. That means decisions made in rooms she walks into can affect hiring, expansion, and even which businesses survive or grow. In a city built on finance and corporate power, that level of influence is significant. What makes her story even more compelling is that she did not inherit this position. She built her career step by step in finance, eventually becoming the first woman to lead Mesirow in its long history. That achievement alone places her among a rare class of leaders. She has also earned recognition among influential executives in corporate America, proving that her impact goes beyond numbers and into leadership. Natalie Brown represents a type of wealth that is quiet but deeply rooted. And now that you have seen the full picture, from structured billions to global influence, one question remains. Who do you think truly owns Chicago? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to Her Status Fit More Luxury Adventures. See you next time.